everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast. I'm your host, Jim Chapman, and I'm excited today, y'all, because I have a guest on this show that has a business that is not what you would call your run-of-the-mill business, but one of the most needed businesses out there today. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and introduce his business, and we're going to talk all about it.
Thank you. So my name is Dakota Sutcliffe, and I'm a trauma relief specialist or expert.
Very good.
I help people with anxiety and stress, primarily professionals that have some kind of stress or anxious moment they're experiencing, and it prevents them from being able to live their life in their work or relationships.
Fantastic. And you had me at stress. A lot of people experience that, especially business owners. Business owners obviously carry a lot of stress. They have a lot of responsibility. There's people, I guess you could say, I don't want to sound old, but these days are very open about trauma. They didn't used to be, but society has really come around to understanding that trauma isn't something to be ashamed of.
Right.
And what you do is you help with that in a unique way. It's not a pill you take, for lack of a better term. As a matter of fact, I would call it the anti-pill, which is a positive comment. But before we get all deep into that, tell us a little bit about where you're from.
So I'm from Denham Springs, 35 short years that I've been alive.
You do have all your hair still, which makes me quite jealous.
It's turning a little gray.
That's all right. Hey, people pay for that gray nowadays. So Denham Springs, your whole life.
Yep.
Married?
Married, 15 years,
Yeah.
2 children.
Wow.
Boy and a girl.
Yeah.
And happy to have them as a family.
Yeah.
Graduated from Denham High.
Go Jackets.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
very good. And active churchgoer.
absolutely.
You have a hobby, and I thought it was pretty cool. I want to mention that handwriting analysis.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
It is really cool.
Yeah. How did you get into that?
So the same guy that taught me how to do trauma relief and anxiety relief, stress relief, they also teach handwriting. So I looked into it, and I was like, this sounds really cool. So then I learned more about it. You can actually change your mind by changing your handwriting.
Really?
Really.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell you this. I'm someone that as the day goes on, my handwriting gets sloppier and sloppier. Beginning of the day, I think I have pretty good handwriting. End of the day, it is horrible. So I find that my mood will change as my handwriting gets worse.
That's right.
During the day. And I'm like, wow, you can tell it's been a long day. Look at this sloppy handwriting. Nobody can read it. Let's talk about what you do. And I want to first get into how you ended up doing what you do.
So I didn't know I had trauma.
Yeah.
If you'd had asked me 3 years ago, do you have trauma? I'd been, no, I don't have any trauma. Grew up, I felt like my childhood was normal. Went through school, I never had anything that some people consider major trauma, I guess. And a couple of years ago, I started having some anxiety, some panic attacks, and I had no idea where this was coming from.
Sure.
And so then I ended up finding a guy that does kind of what I do, and he kind of explained it to me, and he said, no, this is definitely related to a trauma. And so we went through it, figured out I did have trauma, and just worked through those processes to get what the term is catharsis, where you take the experience and negative emotion and you remove it from affecting you as much. So it's taking that potential, that energy, that memory that's causing you that problem.
So I assume it worked.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
It must have worked so well that I would imagine at some point you were intrigued to learn how this worked. And,
absolutely.
And it was kind of a path for you. You felt like it was almost a calling.
Yeah. I definitely do feel like it was a path. The path that the Lord had led me through and put me through those trials, brought out that I had these traumas, these things that I needed to address. And as a result, I had some wrecks that were not my fault.
Yeah.
And so that led into more of the anxiety and stress that I was experiencing. And by the time those wrecks had taken a toll on my job, I was unable to keep it. So I said, okay, well, Lord, is this something that you want me to continue to learn? And he said, yes. I said, okay. Well, it was a financial burden. And so I said, are you sure? And he said, yes. I keep learning. And then this opportunity shows up and I said, is this what I'm going to be doing from this point on? And he says, yes, you're going to be helping people in the same way that this has helped you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strong stuff. How did you start? Where did you start?
So again, started with the training and got certified.
Yeah.
And I started January 1st, 2024.
Oh, very good.
And some of the stuff you could say is actually church related. So I could say that I've been studying this for 17 years before then.
Sure.
But actual trained, knowing the different processes to go through, a solid over a year at this point.
Wow. And certifications involved in that and the whole works, like you would in any other specialized field,
right?
If you will. So let's talk about what this is, what you do. When you say trauma, relate to me some forms of that you work with.
Okay. So PTSD is a post-traumatic. Pretty much any trauma is post-traumatic stress disorder. But the really bad versions is what they label PTSD. And really labels, they really don't help. They just help you figure out that there's something there.
Sure.
And so what I do is I help anybody with anything with anxiety or stress surrounding a person, place, or thing. So any situation, it could be a boss that you see and you start having this response. It could be a fear of heights or in a crowd or any kind of thing that goes on within you in between your ears and you don't like it.
What about a fear of speaking?
Oh, yeah.
I find that to be something that, because I'm in this industry, I experience with a lot of people. The fear of all the attention being on them. They're speaking, they're scared they're going to forget what they want to say, those sort of things. You help with that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What would you say some more common ones are?
More common ones. Brain fog happens from having stress all the time, not being able to think, not being able to process any emotion.
Let me ask you, do you need to know where the stress is coming from?
No, you don't.
No.
Not at all.
And that's a good thing. You help with that.
I do. Yeah, they don't have to feel that way. They can actually make better decisions when they don't have any stress or anxiety that's affecting their mind.
What about, I know you mentioned fear of crowds. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, when they get around a big crowd, they get very anxious, which is, I guess, a form of stress, would you say?
Absolutely. It's an anxiety. So what happens with the body is the unconscious recognizes a situation as a perceived danger in some way. And so it releases something called cortisol into the body, and that's the stress hormone. The natural thing that you can use to counteract cortisol, no pill, is just laugh. Have a good time.
Yeah.
And that releases endorphins. It is the natural cortisol resistant chemical in your body.
Yeah.
All this stuff, it actually has come out of psychology. And if you really go back far enough, psychiatry came out of it.
Yeah.
So it's more of a original, if you will.
Yeah. And, there are traumas, like I'll give you another example of someone that I know that experienced this. They got in a wreck and they were scared to death to get in a vehicle after that. Totally overtook their life.
So what ends up happening is the unconscious says this is not a safe situation because they experienced the wreck. Well, that's not true. You can go down the road all the time. So then what's the issue? The issue is the unconscious has labeled this situation.
Yeah.
So then I help them take that feeling, that response, and remove it.
Yeah, there's no pill that can get you beyond that fear of riding in a car, for example. And there's some traumas that are very serious traumas that you need to look into, in my opinion, other alternatives. And this would be one that is proven. And the reason I say it's proven, we discussed this off camera, but you have a lot of videos on your site and testimonials from actual people that you work with. This ain't actors or anything.
Right.
These are people that had issues. One that may be relatable to a lot of my audience is a guy was a high-performing salesperson and had basically gotten to the point that every time his phone would ring, it would totally stress him out. It snuck up on him. It wasn't something that overnight he really noticed, but before he knew it, he went from becoming someone that was Johnny on the spot with his customers to 4 days later realizing he hasn't followed up with them. And the cause of that was the anxiety that was created during his job and just dealing with really overwhelming himself, with all these customers. That's something that you were able to help him with, and he gave a pretty good testimonial. It's also on your Facebook page.
Yep.
Yeah.
10 years of anxiety around voicemails, and he said it started bleeding into his emails as well.
But maybe you're someone out there right now and you're listening or you're watching, and you do have a fear of crowds, or you do have a little anxiety from a car wreck. Maybe you're someone that you've tried 10 different things, to medicate yourself and have never tried something like this. So explain to me, maybe give me a view from 50,000 feet of how this process works. We'll play a little game. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm someone that calls you and I say, I've been through something, but I'm not comfortable talking about it. I don't really want to get into it because every time I get into it, it triggers me. Okay. But I need help. It's causing me a lot of stress.
Okay. Well, from 50,000 feet, that's kind of high, but
take it to 20,000.
Okay. Well, we'll work on it. So, you don't have to go through what you experienced with me. It's not talk therapy. It's actionable exercises that we go through different steps to target specific things that are causing you issues.
But the important thing there is you don't have to talk about it necessarily.
Right, yeah. Some people, it's almost re-traumatizing just talking about it again. And so we work through the process. You tell me what it is you want to change about what you're experiencing, and then we go through these exercises to fix it.
Go on his website. You're going to see all kinds of people that he's worked with and what they did. And I really encourage people to do that because it's someone other than Dakota saying that this works, which people would expect, right? It's people that actually have worked with you and vouch for you. We talked about kind of your why a little bit, and that was that you felt almost a push in that direction. And when you feel those things, you follow them. There's no doubt about it. Another good thing about your business is you can do it from anywhere, right?
Oh, yeah. So Zoom, I do all my sessions over Zoom. Yeah. And there are some occasions, like if it's an elderly person and the family wants me to go visit, that's rare. Yeah. But I do those things.
Yeah. And elderly patients you do work with have good success with those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The family has said that it's a different woman.
Wow.
So tomorrow I'm actually going to be going to Opelousas to visit them again.
Oh, wow. It's wonderful. Very good. So in some cases you can travel in special instances, but the good thing is the convenience of what you do, especially with business owners. These are people that we ain't got time to get no appointment.
15 minutes. Who could say no to that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm all over 15 minutes. You tell me an hour and I'm like, what? Don't you know what I have to do today? But 15 minutes, anybody can find time for. And you can do it from the comfort of your own home or the comfort of your office or wherever you're at. How many sessions does it take usually? Is there a typical, allow for 3 sessions type of thing? How does that work?
So With the guy with voicemails, it was one session, 5 minutes. Most
Wow.
things can be resolved in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There are some things that fall under like generalized anxiety. Those may be up to 4 sessions.
Yeah.
But after,
Which is
like,
not bad.
right? If I'm going beyond 6, I'm not doing my job right.
Right. If I've been suffering with anxiety my whole life and you tell me, okay, I'm going to need like 4 sessions to really make a difference here, I'm all over it. I mean, you've been dealing with this your whole life.
Well, it's got to be in the first session, you're going to notice a complete difference.
Yeah.
So then the sessions after that are just covering the outliers that didn't show up in the first.
Sure.
And I mean, it's very quick.
Yeah.
So fast relief is what I'm aiming for. I don't want to draw things out. I do have coaching options, which are, changing your life from where you are right now to where you want to be in the future. But for anxiety and stress, it's all right here, right now. Let's get it done.
And which would be the opposite of what you would hear a lot of
right.
people say because of obvious reasons. But so let me talk about addiction a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, it's an issue in this country, whether it's or in every country. It's an issue in the world. Alcohol, drugs, smoking, and there's other addictions. As it relates to that, can you help with that?
100%. If it's in between the ears, I can help them with it. So why is any addiction also under this category? Because what's going on is they have a self-preservation response to something that's going on. So let's say the reason someone is an alcoholic is because their dad beat them when they were a child. So instead of thinking about that, it's called a state, takes executive within the person, and then they drink alcohol. The state is usually remembering things that happen at that moment. So if you ever had someone that was drunk, they put their keys somewhere, they got sober, they couldn't find their keys, it's because that state is what remembered.
Yeah.
Whenever they get drunk again, they can find their keys again.
Yeah.
So in the same way, what's going on is this state takes executive so that they don't have to think about what happened in their past.
Yeah.
And that's with any addiction, and it can be food, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be exercise, it could be work. People look at work as that's a positive thing. Well, not if it's not serving you in a positive way.
Yeah.
If you're always at work and you're never at home, that's another addiction.
You tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but I would imagine there would need to be a little bit of buy-in from the person that you're dealing with relative to some acceptance that they really want to change what it is they're doing.
Oh yeah. But if there's a little bit of want to, I can help them. If I can sit down with them, that if they've got that much want to, because that's what's going on is that there's the part that says, or the state that says, I want to change. And then there's the other part that says, well, we need to stay safe. And so that part that needs to stay safe really overrules that want to change a whole lot more because that's what they're more accepting to in their mind. So if they've got a little want to and that other part is, okay, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Then getting them to sit down, I can work with them. Now, that's not going to be 15 minutes.
Right.
But having a 15-minute session, showing them how possible this change is, and then they're more accepting to it.
What about like sports performance?
Oh, yeah. So,
confidence, those sort of things.
Sports performance is so easy. So the reason actually it's all easy, but any kind of sports performance, speaking engagements, whatever it may be, if you're having anxiety or stress around it, it's the same techniques. It's the same neural pathways that's causing these things to happen.
Yeah.
When you're anxious or stressed, your unconscious and your cognitive level of decision-making skills drops 30%. So
wow.
Another way of saying it, you're 30% dumber.
Is that why when people, I know when some people speak, they'll start to get nervous and then they totally start forgetting everything they're supposed to say?
100%.
Gotcha.
Or anger. You ever get angry and then you can't put sentences together?
Yeah.
Your cognitive ability has dropped 30%. So because you're in a negative state. If you get in a positive state, everything flows perfectly. You just move, you experience everything in a better way.
Yeah.
Trash talk works so well on the court because it gets everybody on the other team dropped into a lower state. They can't make decisions as well. So make sure everybody gets in a positive state on your team. You can be a better team.
Okay, so one of the big terms out there right now that a lot of people, and it's good when you recognize you have a problem, you can fix it. And a lot of people are recognizing they have what's known as imposter syndrome. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what that is, it's something to where, let's say you're really good at a particular thing, whatever it is. You're the best football player in the world. The better you get, the more you feel like you don't deserve it. There are a lot of people out there like that. They feel like they are an imposter. And so they psych themselves out. Yep. And they don't feel like they deserve all this praise that they're getting. And the more that you praise them, almost the more they push back. It is very common right now in society. That's something I know you could help with.
Absolutely, 100%. What ends up happening is, like we mentioned the states earlier, one state says, I'm confident, I know everything about this, but then this other one is nervous and steps in and says, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Or, self-preservation because of a childhood trauma that said that they don't deserve that because they heard their parents say something that created that negative response.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something back there somewhere, I'm sure.
And it may not even be that the parent said it to the child. Maybe the parent said it to themselves and the child was coloring and was already in a state where they received everything their parents said.
Let's talk about your guarantee a little bit.
Okay.
I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So the guarantee is once we start the work, if we don't move the needle in a positive direction in 15 minutes or less, then I don't get paid.
Yeah.
And if most of the time we've already done the transaction, but I can't make that guarantee without knowing that it works really well.
Yeah.
And so I know this works. I know I can make that guarantee. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing this.
Sure. It's hard to beat. I'll give you your money back if it don't work. I mean, I don't know the estimates, the numbers. You probably know them better than I do, but would you say the vast majority of the population suffers with some sort of anxiety or stress?
Oh yeah, and most of them don't even know it. So they experience different symptoms, and it could be like brain fog. I had that real bad. Pains that show up in the body. Stress affects the body in a really negative way, and it starts causing pains to show up in different spots. I didn't have back pain until I was in a wreck. Well, after the wreck, the back pain was still there whenever it shouldn't have been.
Right.
And you go to the chiropractor, you go to the doctor, and all of them say, yeah, there's no reason physically that you should have pain. Well, that's because the unconscious is using that as an opportunity to say, hey, there's something you need to fix. Yeah. There's something in your unconscious that's still causing you these other anxious and stress responses.
Wow.
And so then it shows up in pain. It could be in the knee, it could be in the back, wherever it is, and then it just becomes chronic. So like fibromyalgia, that's gone in 45 minutes if you work with me. Pain is a thing of the past.
Another big one that you just brought up that a lot of people can't seem to find an answer to.
Yep. And it's all unconscious. It's all the brain that's creating that stimulus saying, hey, there's something you need to fix.
Yeah.
And with me, if it is fibromyalgia, then 45 minutes and it's gone. I
want to talk about some of the organizations that you're a member of because you give back too, and you give a lot of your time. I know you're a member of BNI, which is Business Networking's International. Great networking community there at BNI, and you're a part of the Livingston Leaders version of BNI, their chapter rather. Shout out to all those folks because I know some of them as well. You're also a member of what other organization? Was it Kiwanis?
So I'm a part of Kiwanis of Denver Springs, and I've visited the Rotary Club of Livingston Parish. So I'm kind of thinking about my schedule and wondering if I can make that happen.
Maybe you want that promotion. Maybe you want to progress in your job, but something in you, matter of fact, you said it. Are you someone that feels stress whenever your boss comes around? Those sorts of things. This would help with that.
Oh, yeah.
confidence building, even in your workplace.
Oh yeah,
something you can help with.
100%.
If it's between the ears,
if it's between the ears, I can help it.
That ought to be your slogan. If it's between the ears, call me.
Yeah.
There's some people right now, I'm sure they're thinking, I want to at least try a session.
Okay.
How would they do that?
So traumarelief.me is the website.
Yeah.
Is also where I have all the video testimonials, and you can just click on schedule the consult. So you click there, find a spot on the calendar that works for you.
Yeah.
And it sends me an email, and then we meet.
Very good. And I also invite you to go to that website, y'all, and check out the videos. You got a lot of videos on there. I'm going to actually link the website in the description of this video. You can schedule right there. Do that. I think your initial sessions you call is it a fact-finding session?
It's a free consult.
Yeah. How's it been for you?
It's been fun. I mean, I really enjoy helping anybody that comes to me, and it's been a real blessing being able to help people.
Yeah.
Seeing the change, them telling me that the experience that they've had from the time that we've worked together is just it's phenomenal. And
we're even doing a special deal that me and Dakota came up with for the next couple of months after this podcast drops. So there's a date on the podcast when it drops. If you mention the podcast when you call, you say, "Hey, Dakota, I saw you talking to Jim Chapman, and I want to try this out for whatever reason." You're going to get some money off.
That's right. 25%.
25% off. So take advantage of that, because we all love to save money. I appreciate you offering that. And we're going to make that like a 60 days savings for you from the date that the podcast drops. We talked about some fun facts. We're going to cover those real quick. I said, if you purchased a yacht, what would you name it?
Amiga or Mariposa. So
tell me what that is.
Mariposa is actually butterfly in Spanish.
Okay.
So my wife's name is Vanessa.
Yeah.
And what that means is butterfly. So
it
would be named.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like a foreign name, but I didn't want it to be something weird.
Sure.
So sometimes I call her Mariposa.
Mariposa. I like
fun.
that. And your dream job when you were 12 years old, you wanted to be a gamer?
Yeah, I did.
I love it. I was a gamer but we didn't have the games that y'all have. How old are you?
35.
You have better video games. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be? To fly without wings.
Yep.
That's a good one. That's what I would also pick that one if I chose one. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Hawaii, Fiji, and Alaska. All those are great picks.
I just hear they're really good places to go.
Alaska, I've been to. It's unbelievable. Just a trip I would recommend anybody take during their lifetime. Fiji is one I would be interested in going to as well. I've seen pictures, obviously, and it just looks beautiful. So I highly recommend Alaska, though. Been there, done that, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So any final thoughts? Anything else you want to add?
I am going to offer so I use different modalities to help people with changes. One of them is hypnosis. I also use NLP techniques and EFT tapping, breath work, all kinds of different things.
Sure.
But,
breath work. Let's talk about that real fast. Tell me about breath work.
Everybody needs to breathe. Most people don't know how to. So it's called diaphragmatic breathing, where you breathe imagine that you're laying on the ground and the first thing that moves is your belly button. Mm-hmm. And so that's actually pulling oxygen through all of your lungs, not just your chest.
Yeah.
Chest breathers have a lot more anxiety. But if you breathe properly, then that changes everything. That fixes a bunch of things already.
100% accurate.
So
I know a little about that. That is 100%.
Yeah. So I do all kinds of different things to help people, but the fast stuff I haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
So whenever you want to make the change,
Yeah.
Just schedule the consult, and I use those other techniques mainly in my coaching processes.
Sure.
They're longer term.
Sure.
But I'm offering a free hypnosis audio for anybody that wants to sign up for it. That's really the best way to get
Completely
in contact
free.
with me. Yeah, completely free.
There you go.
And it's to anchor a calm state anytime you're starting to feel stressed or anxious.
So thank you so much for coming by. We are going to put this out there. Any questions, y'all, or to schedule a session, reach out, go to that website. We're going to link it in the description of this video. All you got to do is click on it. It's easy from there.
And the hypnosis audio is going to be traumarelief.me and /local leaders.
Yeah, that works for me. Local leaders make it easy for y'all to remember. So I'll also put that in the description of the video so it'll be easy to find as well. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman for Local Leaders, the podcast, reminding you, love your community, support local business, and keep leading. Thank you very much.